What if I told you that during the civil rights movement, when protesters were protesting peacefully, a man from St. Louis named Percy Green said, "No, we are pushing civil disobedience to disrupt the city power structure," most notably known for climbing the Gateway Arch to protest the exclusion of blacks from federal contracts and jobs related to the construction of the arch.
55 years ago this week, Percy Green was arrested for climbing up the Gateway Arch, which was under construction at the time. Today, he was welcomed back to the arch to mark the anniversary of his protest about the lack of minority construction workers on the project.
Percy Green was a member of CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality, until 1964, when he and 24 other members separated from the organization because they wanted to continue direct action protests. Green later co-founded the Action Group, an organization dedicated to addressing racial inequalities in St. Louis, particularly in employment. The unveiling of the White Bell Prophet was a protest against discriminatory practices in the city led by Percy Green. This incident, though not as widely known as Green's climb of the Gateway Arch, represented a deeper push to confront systemic racial inequalities in areas such as public monuments, symbolism, and local government practices.
The power structure was trying to think of a way to bring the community back together, and someone come up with this idea of a parade. Who could denounce a parade? The very first veiled prophet was dressed up in a Klansman outfit. And over the years, because of public opinion, I would think, it fell out of grace. We discovered that most of these jobs among those large businesses were, the heads of these companies were part of the Veiled Prophet organization. And we also further discovered that in this organization, blacks were not allowed. We could see that socially, even though this is a social organization, it was discriminatory. So if they were going to be party to a racist social organization, then it stands to reason that they will not, under any circumstances, be legitimate in their so-called approach toward integration. So we decided to educate the community of this fact by disrupting. First of all, we had already started our campaign against these companies and requesting and demanding more and better paying jobs for black men. And then, of course, we spun off of that into attacking the White Veiled Prophet and the ball, as well as the parade. We picketed it from 1965 all the way, picketed the ball, and always carried on some form of civil disobedience against the parade until the time that we actually unveiled the Veiled Prophet. On that night, we had teams of people to go in. And on a certain cue that they worked out among themselves, one person dropped some leaflets from the balcony that caused the attention to go in that direction, while the other person came down a stage cable that extended from the balcony down to the first floor. And she came down that in her nightgown, not nightgown, but the evening gown, and came down to the first floor, went behind the curtains, came up behind the Veiled Prophet, and snatched the mask and everything off and threw it right out in the floor of the court. And finally, someone broke ranks and picked up the veil and everything and put it back on the person's head. Of course, the person at that time was Tom K. Smith, was the VP, who was, I believe he was a vice president of Monsanto, or he was vice president of a banking, one of the two. I can't remember now. I don't have my